Hey, y'all, welcome back to my podcast channel. This is going to be a bonus episode number 2. I actually was going through and I found my book. I'm writing this book. Now, this book, keep in mind, is not fully done yet. This is the other book I read in the special episode. That one was, about some of the traumas from childhood leading up. It didn't touch on everything. But this is actually the book that I've been working on about the destruction by CPS and domestic violence. I'm still currently working on it, but I want to give y'all a special episode and read it on here. My children beside, okay, hold on. So chapter 1, the start of destruction by CPS. My children besides visits have been kept away for 16 long months. You would think I did something serious or committed acts of abuse around drugs, none of which is true. Made a couple bad decisions, or not intentionally, trying to put them at risk for possible harm. The petition was about my husband. The 3 things in it were melatonin that my husband gave my son. First bad decision was not telling Dr. Douglas the last time he had it was 2 months prior to me calling them when he was closer to 5, like I was supposed to do. Next was I was told that my order of protection I had on my husband was supposed to be dropped down to a B order after a domestic violence incident in November 2020 because he was off his mental health meds. Sons were asking to see their father in February 2021. I didn't have nothing in writing, just something from my safe advocate lawyer saying that it was dropped down so we could be around each other for the kids and talk about the kids, etc. My bad decision was I believe someone who was and should be allowed to trust. I did a supervised visit with him and one of our sons on February 5th, 2021. Where are we here? Day CPS showed up. First, it was the worst nightmare. First, it was the worst nightmare me and my children experienced at the hands of someone that 8 years prior, me and 3 mothers turned her into the Board of Education for abusing my daughter. She went on to become a CPS worker in the same county a year later. Day she showed up, I just dragged all the stuff my daughter was hiding under clean clothes into the kitchen, started attempting to clean it up and sort through it. They showed up that time right before my other son got home from school. He showed up to police and CPS worker in his house. CPS found a loophole around the order of protection, me being the protected party, and had me falsely arrested, because the cop never wanted to arrest me. First time ever in my life I was ever arrested. My children got to witness this after I was told they wouldn't. The detective didn't even want to arrest me. She said it would be up to the worker down the road. Next thing you know, she made detective go in my living room and talk to her for 10 minutes and told her she wanted me arrested. My son came home and when he heard they were making him leave, he ran around my bed, jumped up and climbed under my comforter and sheet and grabbed my thigh, screaming, "Mommy, don't make me leave." I don't make me leave. I don't want to leave. She proceeds to tell my son, just think of it as a weekend away. I started hyperventilating and having a bad anxiety attack. I do have PTSD, generalized anxiety, and ADHD. And since all of this, I have now been diagnosed with depression. My babies are my whole world. I was shackled to a floor at the police station. All that could run through my head was, what are my kids thinking and feeling after being ripped from their mother? The one constant person, the one who went above and beyond to always show them love. When I sat in a holding cell for 5 hours, my PTSD, anxiety, everything was so bad. The flashbacks was devastating, painful, and downright not fair to my children, not fair to me. The day was on a Friday. I went and got my kids Sunday night, February 7th, 2021. I did their virtual school next morning. The next thing you know, I was getting a phone call from CPS worker Matthew telling me that he had just left my husband's dad and stepmother's house. Based on what they said, he had to call his supervisor. He then stated that after speaking with her and informing her of all the things that had nothing to do with us or our children, that the department decided to file to temporarily remove my children. My husband wasn't living with me yet, and order was not dropped down for another month, so I didn't have no contact with him until April 3rd, 2021. February 8, 2021, I was not given an attorney. I was kept in a virtual lobby. The entire testimony from the worker was a conflict of interest. I had her fired from the school 8 years prior. We never were allowed. I was never allowed to hear what was said again. Never given a chance to even defend myself. When I was brought into the virtual courtroom, I was sworn in. The judge said immediately that after listening to the department's testimony, she agreed to the removal of my children. I instantly started crying and said, I have to get off here and try to find a lawyer. She set a court date for the following day to see where they would be placed. Wasn't even allowed an actual attorney at that one either. at the placement hearing. An attorney was not appointed until February 9, 2021, after the court date at the very end. The attorney did not even make contact with me until May of 2021. When me and my care manager tried requesting and writing for a new attorney, it was denied, and then told after one of the trials, as I took it to trial, that I was blaming my attorney. Wow, what the heck? So, same trial, all my legal and civil rights were violated. Never got the petition, even though I asked for it in writing, till literally May of 2022. 15 months without being given the petition. June 2021, neglect trial. My lawyer said CPS did not meet their bearer of proof, and she tried asking for a motion to dismiss. It was denied, even though my children's pediatrician said I was a good mom, and she never had a problem with me as a mom. My children's vice principal literally said on the stand that I was a good mom. Anytime they needed me to come help, they would to de-escalate my daughter. I was right there trying to help the school with my child that has behavioral 504 plan. I never got to testify at my own trial till after the deadline. I have documented everything in writing and recordings and witnesses. None of my actual evidence or professional witnesses were I allowed to call. But yet the judge allowed CPS to present double and triple hearsay and allowed it. The judge used those exact words on court record. I have tried requesting and writing to my attorney wanting a copy of all court transcripts. They have all been denied. So let's get on with Chapter 2 now that you have a little bit of stuff that's already happened. There's a lot more to this. Chapter 2, the lies and manipulation and corruption. I don't even know where to begin in this chapter, as there has been so many lies, so much corruption in that county. I have never in my life heard or seen something like this. My husband's family brags about the level their family goes to in order to stay out of trouble. Heck, his dad got out of domestic violence charges against his mom, against my husband's mom, because of the judge being the family lawyer at the time. But my husband's family background check still shows domestic violence charge, breaking domestic violence order protection, several other charges from North Carolina. This lovely state of New York and this county that is specific to our case and story said that because it was another state, it don't matter. He even lost his rights in that state to his now 21-year-old son that is by a different mom. Then his ex-wife he abused in New York State with domestic violence charges on his record, and his wife having child abuse on her record. The county allowed them to be foster parents. Then CPS allowed my sons to be medically neglected, allowed educational neglect on my daughter. So many people have reported the abuse and neglect. Even 2 mandated reporters called in one. So much has happened that affects my children and me. CPS has now finally did an indicated case against my husband's stepmother and father, but they are trying to give her custody, even with them about to move my kids. I have completed everything I needed to do to get my children back. This is not right at all. The judge said on court record when talking about the domestic violence incident, trying to blame me and wanted me to take responsibility for it. There is a 911 call from start to finish proving I was the victim. I have asked in writing multiple times for my court transcripts. They have denied the request. I have texts, emails, recordings, and witnesses to everything I'm saying in this book. We were made to have them as supervisors for 15 months, even though she caused me trauma behind me getting molested by her son's uncle when I was 7 years old. He is on the New York State Registry, proving he did that to me. CPS has allowed abuse, domestic violence in that home, medical neglect. It goes on and on. They even did a bench directive saying I couldn't go live about the case on social media. I decided to write a book regarding this. Sometimes CPS can do more damage to a family than good. Let's start with a CPS supervisor trying to me and a couple family members trying to tell me and a couple family members that I didn't care about my children on several occasions. If you look up Oswego County, you will see the state's recent investigation. Keep in mind, this book I started writing in 2022, by the way. You'll see the state's recent investigation into a death of a cerebral palsy child. Teachers, staff, the school and nurse all did CPS reports. CPS went out there several times and a case was open. The child died under the watch of the CPS in that county, around the time that they were screwing with my children and me. Let's also say the things in the news articles. Let's also say the things in the news article are so true, because some of the same things of those things in that article has happened to me and my children.